Right then, without further ado, let's have a look at the starting grid for Junior Rotax Heat number 3 here at Rowrah in Cumbria. So it's Jugos Bravilonis and Nicholas Ellis that are on the front row, ahead of Curtis Latimer and Tom Carter. Carter won the second heat earlier on today. Catherine Potter will be joined by Jacob Jukes in the number 34. They complete the top 3 rows. Harry Hurst-Grover and Oliver Brett Smith will be on row number 4 with Bartek Filipiak and Jaden Hewitt rounding out the top 10. Row 6, it's Sandro Ballesteros and Finley Whiting. Jensen Mason, Sam Stoner, Ollie Naylor, Ethan Haig, who was our Heat 1 winner, ahead of Tom Holden and Maximus Shields. So 2 different winners from 2 respective heats here in Junior Rotax. Tom Carter was the talk of the town at Wilton Mill 4 weeks ago. Can he do it again this weekend here in Cumbria? Drivers are now released from the dummy grid, filtering their way onto the circuit. So the driver's trying to get some additional grip through the temperatures in the tyres. And with the Comet tyres being used as the slick tyres as of this round, currently using the Mojo W5s, which will be... so everyone's on the same tyre. Everyone's got the same opportunity to compete at the very sharp end of the grid. But the Mojo W5 situation will be reviewed post this round, so we'll be using the Comet K2Hs for both Minimax and Junior Rotax as of this round and for the rest of the season. And now we're going to send them around for another lap, it looks like. So false start has been called, so they're going to put them around for another formation lap. Not a bad call, if I'm completely honest, because they have a sighting lap and a formation lap. Ollie B96 saying good luck Catherine Potter. Sam Penny wishing Jensen Mason all the very best of luck in the number 58. So they're now going to start grouping up, coming out to the stewardesses before the run down to St John's, which is down the hill. Okay, 8 minutes on the clock plus an additional lap. Red lights are on the starting gantry overlooking the start-finish straights here at Rowrah. Bravilonis and Ellis on the front row. Into the tram lines. Revs rise. Noise increases. This time... Oh, and... Right, we've had a bit of a moment at the back end of the grid. That would have been Finley Whiting, Jaden Hewitt amongst others. And a full start was called once again. So the drivers will have to line up once more into customary position for the rolling start. Side-by-side formation. And, good to see Tom Carter's mum, Tracy, on the stream with us as well, saying, go Tom Carter, love mum. So we've had 2 different winners from 2 different heats so far in Junior Rotax. Can it be 3 different ones after this one? We're going to find out after around about 9 minutes of racing, as the field once again starts to concertina, making their way through St John's and into the left-hander here at Sunny Bend. So now they've got to get into order pretty quickly. Right, let's have another try at this, shall we? Into the tram lines, revs rise. Noise increases this time. Lights are out, we're off and racing. And Pavilonis leads the field up into the chicane for the first time of asking. It's 2-3 abreast. Up the hill, there's Tom Carter. There's Jacob Jukes and also Finley Whiting. Jacob Jukes has a massive drama. I think he might have had no other way to go. And Pavilonis has spun it! Pavilonis has spun it off of McRae's. And we've also got the... I think someone was round. That was one of the carts at the front end of the field. There's Tom Carter and also the number 7 of Nicholas Ellis battling away over the lead. Harry Hurst-Grover trying to make up positions. Sandro Ballesteros ahead of Ollie Naylor. But Tom Carter's hit the front. Bit of a different line taken by Nicholas Ellis, who's got the likes of Curtis Latimer and Jacob Jukes not far behind. But there's Finley Whiting in the 81, who's at the sharp end of the grid. Everyone's scrabbling for traction. It's not been easy around here. Some using the curb to help rotate the cart around, like Jacob Jukes going through Sunny Bend. And he's looking up the inside of Finley Whiting, going through out of Paddock Bend. Around to complete lap number 1. It's Tom Carter ahead of Nicholas Ellis as Jacob Jukes makes his way down the start, finish straight ahead of Finley Whiting to take P3. As Oliver Brett Smith ahead of Ethan Haig. And there is Finley Whiting now rounding out the top 4 places. Jensen Mason, Maximus Shields, Catherine Potter and Ollie Naylor round out the top 10 places. As Finley Whiting has got past, was ahead of Oliver Brett Smith. Side by side a little bit further back, that's Curtis Latimer and Jaden Hewitt going into Iredales. Bartek Filipiak trying to keep things on the black stuff as it was nearly off the black stuff for Curtis Latimer. There's Ethan Haig battling away with the likes of Finley Whiting and also the number 70 of Oliver Brett Smith. Leaders now making their way through. Looks like Jacob Jukes is making steady progress and he's actually up into second position ahead of Nicholas Ellis. So now the chase to get on level pegging with Tom Carter begins as Finley Whiting up the inside of the pair of Oliver Brett Smith. As wide coming out of Paddock Bend goes Ethan Haig. Up towards the chicane once again as the number 18 of Jaden Hewitt trying to close in on Sam Stoner in the 38. That is a battle for position. As Finley Whiting gets all kind of sideways, that allows Brett Smith to get through. And now Finley Whiting up the inside through into Iredales. As Brett Smith tries to get the switch back, but Finley Whiting quickly over to the defensive line in towards the stewardesses. The 81 runs wide. Brett Smith goes through. Yeah, just keeping an eye on these front bumpers. That front bumper of Oliver Brett Smith is not exactly 100% secure. And that's the number 70. Behind them, they've got Ethan Haig in the 27. Oh, bit of a touch between the three of them. It's going to be a squeeze coming out of Paddock Bend, but Ethan Haig makes it through. Oliver Brett Smith instantly sticking one hand up in the air as if to say, what are you playing at, mate? Come on. Play the game. And Oliver Brett Smith goes completely sideways coming out of the chicane itself. There's Finley Whiting. There's Jensen Mason. And with them is Maximus Shields in the 181. Yeah, that nose cone is dented in and it's flapping away. That says to me possibly more than likely a front fairing penalty of 5 seconds. There was a warning just given out, and that was to Ethan Haig in the 27. There's up the inside, that's Maximus Shields. Nice move up the inside, that's Jensen Mason who's just got past. Behind them, Tom Holden in the 87. Catherine Potter was rounding out the top 10. She isn't now because she's got Sandro Ballesteros round to the outside of her. But Harry Hurst-Grover now sits in 10th position. It's all kind of sideways at points on the circuit, especially if your name is Jaden Hewitt. That was coming out of the first part of Paddock Bend. He's trying to close in on Sandro Ballesteros and Catherine Potter. 3 minutes and 35 seconds still to go in the race. All bit sideways there coming out of, looks to be Iredales for Maximus Shields. He managed to keep that one planted. Fastest lap of the race, however, Tom Carter, you better watch your back bumper because Jacob Jukes is chasing you down at the rate of 0.4 of a second. Oh, that was a bit close there for Jensen Mason in the 58. Completely lost the back end through the first part of the stewardesses and held it together. Catherine Potter and Sandro Ballesteros still battling away for position, and now Ballesteros has got through, coming through St John's. There's Tom Holden and Jensen Mason. So Tom Holden's now up into 8th place as they come across the line to complete lap number 5. And Jacob Jukes, last time around, did not take any time out of Tom Carter. It's going to be a tough one for the number 34 because the number 45 showed great prowess at Wilton Mill and is doing it again. Could be the driver with 2 heat victories. Oh, now that is the number 70, Oliver Brett Smith. Drama's coming out of McRae's for him. And now has got Harry Hurst-Grover closing in rather rapidly in the number 14. Harry, 14 years of age, based out of Littleborough in Rochdale. Started outdoor karting when the during the pandemic, and then entered the CKC last year. Looking for a top 5 this season. It's a long championship road ahead here in the CKC. 8 rounds from February to October. As there is Tom Holden once again in the number 87, trying to close in on Maximus Shields for 6th place. 1 3/4 minutes left to go. And Tom Carter starting to pull a gap on Jacob Jukes. The gap now 1.75 seconds. Tom Carter, 58.697 was the fastest lap of the race on lap number 6. As here goes Tom Holden up the inside. That's on Maximus Shields in the 181. But Shields gets the cut back, lines up the car, points, squirts, and traction is engaged. Into the stewardesses, Tom Holden takes a tighter approach, but Maximus Shields gets around the outside of him, and that was threading the eye of the needle. Tom Holden getting sideways alongside was Jensen Mason doing exactly the same. 60 seconds to go on the clock, and Jacob Jukes is now going to have to sort of like think, well, I've got to bag points for the championship, and I want to get myself in a great position for the final later on, because if he and Tom Carter are on the front row, fireworks will be on the cards. So Tom Carter making his way through towards the halfway point of the circuit. Sideways from Finley Whiting coming out of the chicane. Manages to compose himself and line it up for McRae's. Oh, sideways for Maximus Shields as well. Out of McRae's. Holden stays behind the 181, takes the same racing line towards the outside of Iredale's. As Tom Carter making his way through. Oh, what's going to happen here? Is it going to be a repeat this time through the stewardesses? No, Tom Holden does exactly the same approach. Maximus Shields unable to respond as quickly as he did the previous time. Timer has hit 0. Oh, we've had one jump up on the escape ramp. And that might have been Jensen Mason. I'm not 100% sure. Didn't really quite catch the cart number as it roared up the ramp. So Tom Carter has a lead of 2.1 seconds ahead of Jacob Jukes. Nicholas Ellis in the number 7 rounds out the top 3 as Tom Holden fighting tooth and nail with Maximus Shields for 6th position. They've got Finley Whiting in the number 81 ahead. And Whiting rounds out the top 5. Pravilonis still running, and it looks like it was more, I think that was Ollie Naylor, the number 85. Well, Ollie Naylor was actually out of the race. It was Jensen Mason. That has been confirmed by the timing. As we go on to the last lap for Tom Carter, the number 45. And he's ahead of Jacob Jukes now by nearly 2.3 seconds. Nicholas Ellis, more than a stone's throw behind. 8.5 seconds is the gap between P2 and P3 as Maximus Shields trying to still chase down the number 87 of Tom Holden. And there is your race leader, Tom Carter, the number 45. Won the second heat. Ethan Haig won the first one. But Tom Carter has showcased great performance within these wet weather conditions. There's Jacob Jukes in the number 34. As the checker flag this time will be prepared. As Tom Carter makes his way round Paddock Bend for the last time of this race, and he will take the checkered, winning his second successive heat in a row. Jacob Jukes firmly in the hunt for the final later on today. 2.657 seconds adrift. Nicholas Ellis rounds out the top 3 in the number 7 cart. No, he does not. Rounds out the top 4 because Ethan Haig rounds out the top 3. However, there's going to be a run to the line. Tom Holden gets the purchase. Is he going to pit Finley Whiting at the line? No, he does not. 61 thousandths of a second separating Finley Whiting in 5th and Tom Holden, as there was another drag race to the line, and that was between Curtis Latimer and Jaden Hewitt, who rounded out the top 11. So Tom Carter takes the victory convincingly by nearly 2.7 seconds, ahead of Jacob Jukes. Ethan Haig, Nicholas Ellis and Finley Whiting ran at the top 5. Tom Holden, Maximus Shields, Oliver Brett Smith, Harry Hurstgrover and Curtis Latimer ran out the top 10. Jaden Hewitt, Sandro Ballesteros, Catherine Potter, Sam Stoner, Bartek Filipiak, Jugos Pravilonis, unfortunately starting for pole, having that massive moment earlier on in the race that put him around at McRae's, and the 88 was confined to the back of the field, I'm afraid. Jensen Mason out on lap number 7, with Ollie Naylor, unfortunately, a retirement on lap number 2. That concludes the 3 heats for Junior Rotax.